I'm a member of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, which, as you know, is the least partisan committee in the Congress. Senator Warner, Senator Rubio operate arm in arm as a bipartisan team to perform the kind of oversight that I think helps instill public confidence in what the intelligence community is doing. Yesterday, we were informed that the Director of National Intelligence has no information about the classified information that was found at Mar-a-Lago, that was found in President Biden's garage and in his office, and then was found in Vice President Pence's office. Now, ordinarily, I think we're all familiar with the fact that when there's an investigation, and of course there's been special counsel appointed in 2 of those cases, ordinarily you would say, well, we don't want to disturb the integrity of the investigation, in fairness primarily to the person being investigated. But I would suggest that this is different. Congress has a constitutional responsibility to provide oversight into the intelligence gathering by the intelligence community, all 17 agencies that fit under that umbrella. This is something we cannot do if the Biden Justice Department says they're not going to share with us what intelligence products President Biden stored in his garage or stored at his think tank in Philadelphia. This is not designed to prejudice President Biden or President Trump or Vice President Pence. We need to know what our adversaries know. And the reason why taking classified information outside of a secure facility is so egregious is because it does make available to our adversaries potentially information that we'd prefer to keep secret in the national security interest. And so, to me, this looms much larger than an ordinary investigation by a U.S. attorney or by the Department of Justice. And I think what you saw, and that Senator Graham alluded to, is bipartisan outrage at the fact that the Director of National Intelligence, who's responsible for essentially all 17 branches of the intelligence community, said, you know, the Department of Justice tells us to stand down, we stand down. We don't know what they have. Now, I'm going to be careful here and not talk about what was said in confidence, but even if this information was somehow shared with the agency or of the federal government that produced the intelligence product to evaluate it, they're not policymakers. I mean, by design, they're not policymakers. They're supposed to tell us the good, bad, and the ugly without regard to any sort of policy or political affiliation. We are the policymakers. And it's not hard to imagine some scenario in which classified information is taken out of a secure facility, is made available to our adversaries, that it would threaten the national security of the United States in ways that we would need to respond to as policymakers. So I think that explains why you saw Chairman Warner, Vice Chairman Rubio, and a bipartisan group of senators on the intelligence community express outrage at this unwillingness of the Biden administration. And the Department of Justice is an arm of the Biden administration. The Biden administration blocking congressional oversight and knowledge of these classified materials by Congress, which has a constitutional responsibility to perform here. So this is very serious. I know this committee has oversight of DOJ, even though the FBI is a member of the intelligence community. It's there's sort of bifurcated responsibilities here. But I think what you saw and heard from in the press by a bipartisan expression is that this is unacceptable, and we're going to do and use every tool available to us to gain access to this information. We're used to seeing classified information in confidence. Members of the intelligence community and members of Congress that give access to information don't leak, we hope. But I can tell you with all confidence that the members of the Intelligence Committee don't leak, and we see classified information on a daily basis. So I wanted to mention that because I do think this is going to be an ongoing controversy, but it is completely unacceptable to me, and I believe on a bipartisan basis, for the Biden administration to block Congress from performing its constitutional duty here. And there are issues much larger than an individual criminal investigation that I think need to be addressed. So thank you for giving me the chance to.
Senator, I'd just like to make a couple points, and one of them is the Trump investigation about the documents began last summer, and I don't recall any request by anyone to see those documents until yesterday's meeting of the intelligence.
You might not be aware of the request. There was actually a letter written by Chairman Warner and Vice Chairman Rubio asking for access to the documents, and that was not forthcoming.
It was not forthcoming, you're saying? It wasn't? The second point is very important. I keep repeating over and over again the links we go to in Congress to protect the documents and the information. Intelligence Committee is a different situation for sure, but I mean, any classified document shown to me in my office is then removed from my office by the same person. So the note that I'd leave it on top of my desk or take it home is just not even possible. So I think we've really gone to a great extent. I want to make sure that we preserve that. I respect the Intelligence Committee and what you had to say about their integrity, but I want to make sure that we don't end up being guilty ourselves of creating an atmosphere where there's disclosure of something that's sensitive.
Well, we want to protect your rights as a member of the United States Senate to perform your constitutional responsibilities, and we want to do that for all 100 members of the Senate and all 435 members of the House. I would mention just one precedent. You recall during the Russiagate investigation, there was a special counsel appointed, yet concurrently with that, there was an unprecedented investigation by the Senate Intelligence Committee on a bipartisan basis that produced a multi-volume report into that entire matter. That happened concurrently, and there was no refusal to provide the information by Director Mueller, the special counsel, or by the administration to provide access to that classified information. So I believe there is precedent, and Congress has demonstrated it can act responsibly and handle this sensitive information with the care that it deserves.
Let me suggest that Senator Graham and I meet with the leaders on the Intelligence Committee and make sure that we're speaking with one voice on this. And in the meantime, the notion of shutting down the Senate's nominations activity over this, I hope it doesn't come to that. We have important work to do.
Well, Mr. Chairman, you know, senators don't have many levers. That's one of the few levers. We do control the purse strings. Nobody wants to take this to that level. I think this is something that should be discussed by the leadership and by rank and file members, and some sort of solution offered and achieved.
Senator Blackburn.